Hey party people, what is up? It's your boy Lucky, and today I have a special review of Sonic the Hedgehog 3 that just dropped this past week. Before we get into anything, I'd like to first say Happy Holidays, Merry Christmas. It's been a blast working with Captain Zeus and DP and the whole BP Fun crew this entire year, and I'm super excited for what we have in store for you for 2025. To get on to the video, this will be a spoiler review, so if you haven't seen Sonic 3, please go and watch it, come back, let's have a discussion. Strap in, let's talk about Sonic 3. The first thing I would like to discuss when it comes to this movie is the fact that the other two installments were very, very well received. Now we know about the meme of Ugly Sonic or teeth showing Sonic that originally came out when the first installment in 2020 dropped. Since then, they've done a fantastic job with the storytelling and kind of fitting Sonic into his own universe. The first two installments were a testament that video games can make it on the big screen, and that involved Knuckles and Tails, and we knew this one was coming. We knew that Shadow was coming because of the end of Sonic 2, right? The biggest takeaway that I had from Sonic 3 is, man, this universe is going to continue to expand, and that is because of the end credit scenes that transpired at the end of this film, where we get a look at Amy and Metal Sonic. Sonic is in a race with Knuckles and Tails, and he kind of races to like the state lines of New York, if you will, in the woods, and Metal Sonic, a group of Metal Sonics surround him, and they look like they were about to attack Sonic, where Amy comes flying in with her hammer and absolutely dismantles all of them, and we get a quick look of her pulling up her hood, and it's her. Super cool, really fun to see that they're going to continue with these films. And then the second end credit scene, Show and Shadow. I'm gonna start with the negatives first because there wasn't a whole lot of them. Some of the jokes kind of fell slightly flat at times in this film, and it's really for no big reason. Like it wasn't like anything stand out-ish. It was just kind of, it felt like the timing was off, where maybe one of the human characters would say something, and then Sonic or Knuckles, Tails, any of those three would kind of chime in super quickly and rebuttal, and it really didn't give it time to simmer at points. But besides the slight kind of timing differences that were going on, this movie was absolutely fantastic from start to finish. We kicked off the film, guys, with Shadow breaking out. He was being held captive in a facility all this time on ice, and we see him literally break out and kick the guards' butts, escaping, going into modern day Tokyo. He's been on ice 50 years at the time of this film. Obviously, if you know anything about Shadow and his history, he is the edgy hedgehog who has a massive care for a human named Maria. And Maria is kind of this teenage girl, takes a liking to Shadow and doesn't look at him as some weird alien hedgehog, but rather a person and someone that deserves to be cared about and cared for. So when we see these flashbacks throughout the film, you can definitely tell that Keanu Reeves took his time to study Shadow. Kind of the way that he did it, it didn't really feel like Keanu Reeves at times. It felt like literally just kind of this smooth talking alien almost, because there's times in this where he is referencing Maria and he's talking to Maria in these flashbacks, and it doesn't seem quite human. He doesn't really know how to interact, and Maria teaches her those things as we dive deeper into those flashbacks. And just his whole demeanor throughout this film is so badass, and it's so cool to see him fight Knuckles and Tails and Sonic. And that gets to one of my favorite points of this film, is flat out the action sequences in this movie were rock solid. There was a point in the movie where there was kind of this motorcycle fight scene I thought really hit, and I didn't think that we'd see anything better than Sonic fighting Shadow while Shadow's on his motorcycle, and they're kind of going up this building, scaling the building, and they kind of collide in the air together and create this like complete power outage across Tokyo. I didn't really think that they could one up that, but they ended up doing so. They have a scene where Sonic basically is on his last leg of being fed up with Shadow, and Shadow attacks his human friend and almost kills him. And Sonic goes and gets the Master Emerald and turns into Supersonic, Yellow Sonic, Red Eyes, goes after Shadow, They have this massive brawl, drag out fight, and Shadow ends up getting some of the emeralds that spill from the Master Emerald, and Sonic grabs some, and so now you have Super Sonic and Super Shadow, with Shadow looking super slick with the white and the red highlights, and Sonic in the yellow and the red eyes, and they have this knockdown drag out fight across the entire globe where it ends on the moon, and that is where it made me a little bit emotional. And I think the reason why it made me emotional when Sonic finally connected with Shadow is because Shadow's character throughout this film is a very vengeful character. As somebody who has had their own share of troubles, as I'm sure many people have, it does leave a mark on you, and it does create this kind of animosity that burdens you throughout your life. And you can tell that the connection that Sonic is able to make with him is the understanding that you always have a choice. You should never let anything that happens impact what's in here, and that is kind of the story of this movie. And it's a quick scene. It probably could have been better, but I'm sure due to runtime and everything else, they had to kind of make it a quick turnaround. Nonetheless, it made me think for a minute, and it kind of impacted me in a positive way, where I felt like this story has a deeper meaning than just new character, badass fights, blase blase. And the final thing that I want to get into for Sonic 3 is the soundtrack, and Jim Carrey as not only Dr. Eggman, but the grandpa, Dr. Eggman, where he plays both roles. There is a third wall breaking scene in this movie. He looks at the camera, both of them look at the camera, and they're like, it's almost like I'm an actor playing two different characters in the same film. So that was kind of funny, a little silly. There was some really cool moments between them, but I'd say the music in this movie and the score of this movie is super cool. You have that kind of pop rock that Sonic games are known for throughout the film. It gets real cool when like the fight scenes are happening and you hear that kind of heavy metal go in the background. It gets you amped up, it gets you feeling good, and it gets you excited for what you're watching on screen. And that is super cool. You go in with the understanding of what a Sonic movie is. With all that being said, sorry for jabbering this long. I gotta give this movie like a 9.5. Like any movie, there's going to be some issues. Some of the pacing, as I said, and like the care scenes felt a little bit off. Some of the jokes didn't hit, but at the same time, this is a movie that you know what you're getting into, and it delivered. It absolutely delivered. The first time seeing Shadow on the big screen, voiced by Keanu Reeves, it doesn't get better than that. Idris Elba did a great job of reprising his role as Knuckles. Super funny, super cool. Tails was great in it. I'm glad that they toned Tails back in this movie. In the second film, it felt like Tails was more of a groupie rather than a friend of Sonic. He was super obsessed with Sonic that entire film. You can tell that they kind of went back to the lab in this movie and were able to kind of readjust and made him more of a teammate slash friend of Sonic. Toned down a little bit of that obsession with him, because obviously, as I stated earlier, Amy's coming, and Amy is known for being obsessed with Sonic. So that would kind of be a little clashing, having Tails and Amy be these love-bombing, extravagant characters that are just trying to, quite frankly, be with Sonic. So, all that being said, let me know what you guys thought of the movie down in the comments. I will see you guys in the next one. Again, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, guys, and Happy New Year's if I don't see you before then. This is Lucky with BP Fun signing off.